Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Start with the name of Allah, who is most merciful and beneficent. My name is Muin Ali, and these are my group members Murtaza Mamtaz, Kashaf Atiq, Raja Muhammad Kabir, Asma Qayyum, and Muhammad Fahad. Our topic, which we are discussing in our presentation, is Fair Trade Jewelry Corporation establishing an ethical global value chain. So, Fair Trade Jewelry Corporation was founded in the year of 2006 in the district which is called Cabbage Town. The founder of Fair Trade Jewelry Corporation was Ryan Taylor and Robin Gambhir. It was impossible for reliably obtain responsibility source gold at the time because before Ryan Taylor and Robin Gambhir, no one was very serious about that gold should be reliably obtained and responsibility sourced by any area. So Taylor and Gambhir were determined to make it possible and involved a great deal of time, energy and money over the next 13 years toward their goal. Actually, Taylor and Gambhir, they have a vision that they want to provide the pure and the authentic and original gold to the customers, and plus they want to give surety to the customers the source of the product. So, uh, so they're working on the major goals, the source of the product from where it has been taken, and it should be authentic and original. So I'm in with my part and I'm conveying it to my group member for further detail. Thank you.
This is Iqra University and I'm going to define further. In 2019, FTJ Co realized that responsibly sourced gold was potentially being contaminated by other golds in the refinery that supplied its materials. Ryan Taylor and Robin Gambhir was wondering how to assure their customers that FTJ Co jewelry was responsibly sourced. Therefore, FTJ Co was considering developing its own gold refining capability in Toronto using well-established micro-production practice. However, the two founders wondered if they should take such a drastic step in their continuing efforts to provide responsibly sourced gold in their customers. Would the initiative harm their core business? How much of the risk and financial burden should they personally endure? The job of the 100 employees at risk.
Come, uh, start with the name of Allah Almighty is the most beneficial and merciful. This is Muhammad Fahad, and my topic is where does gold come from? The specific origin of the gold was unknown. Taylor was concerned about the state of the gold trade and decided to examine the situation himself. In 2018, he traveled to the Choco region of Colombia, South America, to visit the oro ore mining community. Taylor documented the miners' activities and the work of an auditor. Uh, Taylor discovered that approximately 90 families were primarily mining shallow deposits of gold and alluvial gold, which was essentially tiny grains of gold mixed in with silt and mud. Silt and mud. No chemicals were used in the process. Taylor found the process a sustainable form of mining. It was also entirely collective, and profit made by the community were distributed equally to the community. In 2018, in Uganda, an average miner earned $770 per year. The miners got the lowest amount as compared to other in the supply chain. Everyone who touches the material along the supply chain takes some value. There is need of working on fairer distribution of value along the supply chain. And now I would like to invite my the group member. Thanks.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Asma Qayyum. I'm proceeding further that where does the gold come from? So, the mining process Taylor saw in Noro was in stark contrast to the process of traditional large mines, which typically began up to 10 years of prospecting. In Noro, there were no chemicals or heavy machinery, which often led to soil erosion and landscape degradation also were used by the miners. Globally, gold mines produce approximately 3,400 tons per year in total. Taylor and Gambhir were able to see that the work at Oro was sustainable. They were trying to do sustainable production. Sustainable what means to meet our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And the product was responsibly sourced. So they immediately began purchasing Oro gold because it ensured that the responsibly sourced gold from Oro was single origin and would not be blended with other gold. Sister software company called Consensus were providing supply chain tracking and due diligence and commodities. From its inception, Fair Trade Jewelers Corporation distinguished itself from other jewelry companies by helping consumers understand the narrative of the product, where it came from, and why that mattered. So, the Fair Trade Jewelry Corporation was an early provider of responsibly sourced gold and direct to consumer luxury brands. The results to date had been impressive since its start. Fairtrade Jewelry Corporation had been increasing revenue at a rate of 50% per year. That's it from my side.
So myself, Murtaza Mumtaz, and I'm starting from toward an ethical supply chain. So this was the time when the Taylor and the Gambhir start seriously thinking about working on ethical supply chain. So this was the end of Fair Trade and Fair Mine Gold, but not the end of Fair Trade Jewelry Corporation's efforts to find a fully responsible, entirely verifiable source of ethical gold. So in 2015, a corporation with the name of PAC launched the Just Gold project in the state DRC. So Taylor and Kambir were interested to learn about Just Gold's operations just because of a reason. They were working in a way that was licensed trader made a purchase. There were photo identification of the mining. The team leader was recorded along with the origin of the code. All these things were documented. So Taylor and Gambhir discovered that determining the price after all that process, they start working on determining the price paid to miners. But it was a complex issue that depended at least on four factors. So here, because they were very serious about that the miners should be paid a good amount because they are working at the front side. So these are the four factors that were affecting them. LBMA rate, which were decided by the corporations, the purity of the gold, that how much the gold is pure, either it is very original or not, or informalized supply chains, like either they are more mediators in the supply chain or more the taxes are being charged during the supply chain on the gold, or the type of the buyer, either the buyer is willing to pay the more amount or not. So regarding the type of the buyer, the Taylor and the Gambhir again identified four different types. Number one, the informal traders who sold gold in places such as Dubai, India, and whatever the country. Illicit traders were those who were supplying gold to the criminals and illegal authorities. Then the barter mercury and other imported supplies for the gold. So they were not actually paying the amount to the miners, but giving something in exchange, like barter of mercury and imported supplies. And the formal firms, these were the legal firms and corporations working very legally in the instructions of government and providing a
So they were not actually paying the amount to the miners, but giving something in exchange, like barter of mercury and imported supplies. And the formal firms, these were the legal firms and corporations working very legally in the instructions of government and providing a normal amount to the miners. In some contexts, Fair Trade Jewelers Corporation found that both informal and illicit traders paid higher prices than normal to drive out organizations that were attempting to formalize the supply chain. So here the informal and illicit traders paid higher prices because they were not paying the taxes, they were not paying some extra amount in the somewhere between the supply chain. These formalized organizations were sometimes at a disadvantage due to higher administrative and management costs because those organizations who were working legally but they have a large channel of supply chain as well as they have to pay money to their management, to the managers and other people, so they normally pay less amount to the uh, miners. So, in May 2017, the first export of legal and traceable artisanal gold from the DRC state reached Canada. So, this is something like the dream of the Taylor and the Gambir was just coming to be true. The first legal export of gold was possible along the gold journey from the DRC to Toronto. 24 different taxes and fees were paid. A huge amount of tax was paid on that gold which was legally gone through that process. So that's all from my part and I'm conveying it to my team member. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, myself Raja Muhammad Kabir, and I am starting from moving forward. So, Taylor and Gambhir considered two main options for FTGCO's goal of confirming the purity and authenticity of their product. So basically the main purpose, or we can say the aim of them, was that their product of gold was pure, original, authentic, as well as their customers know the origin of their gold, that where it get from. For that they have two main options. The first option was to invest in refinery capabilities in the greater Toronto area. This option seemed feasible, in theory at least. Second option was to resolve FTGCO's issues by rapidly growing Consensus, the sister company that Taylor and Gambhir had started before their work with Impact and Just Gold. So, moving towards conclusion, the mission of Gambhir and Taylor was to provide pure and original gold to their customers along with traceability. That what is the origin of the gold, and to provide fair value of amount to each member of supply chain. The most focus was on miners who put the most efforts. So thank you.